The biggest fear that I've had to overcome in my life is doubting myself. Going to college when no one in my family had gone to college was a huge risk. I had more confidence in my athletic ability than in my academic abilities. I could play football with those college students that I saw on TV. But my classmates that I saw in the lab and around the University Union, I didn't know if I had what they had. I think addressing that self-doubt was a part of, swinging for the fence and trying to go get an engineering degree, not just go to college, but get an engineering degree and then go do something challenging and technical like flying. Apollo is known for sending humans to the moon. Artemis has an opportunity to continue the Apollo story, but I actually think it's important for this story to stand on its own. Artemis is a new program, and we're trying to do new things. And it's great to compare and contrast. When you look at our spaceship, you can see parts that were designed, built, and integrated in another country. When you look at our crew, you see that our crew is international. There are also men and women. And I just think that comparing and contrasting makes the story even richer. The piloting role specifically, I will have an hour and a half or so where I get to fly the spacecraft by hand. We haven't flown that many spaceships. And so the ability to fly one actually in space on a test mission is just a really unique opportunity. I can't tell you how I'm going to feel when we fly by the moon and see the moon up close and the Earth from 250,000 miles away, but I don't use the word excited because I'm focused. What we do, this is very serious and it's very risky, and we are all intimately familiar with that risk. And so if we go out there and we're successful and we can pass that baton on to Artemis 3, that's something to really be excited about.
Great to hear from Reed and Victor in their own words about how they feel about this mission and their role in it as the convoy turns this corner here onto the road where the vehicle assembly building is and where the group that we showed you earlier today, ready with their flags. Wow, that group has expanded exponentially. Yes, this is great.
So many people.
Flags. Oh my gosh, I love it. Oh, this must feel so special to the crew to see all of these people here to wish them well.
Yes, this is heartwarming. Look at how many people there are. Everyone is so excited about this mission.
Signs. People have made signs. I feel like the Astrovan has slowed down a little bit, to really take in the moment.
Wow.
That's amazing there. Again, crowds continue going as we are now passing the historic vehicle assembly building. This is where the Space Launch System rocket was assembled and stacked with Orion. Its history, of course, goes back to the Apollo days, but today it is home to the Artemis missions to the moon and beyond. Gosh, still people lining the route. Yep.
I love that.
I do too. It leaves me kind of speechless.
Yes.
Just to see all the support, all of the people who want to know that they're thinking of them, they're with them, and the fact that this crew specifically has always said we are going for all by all, this must be really special to them.
Yes, and that's just here on Kennedy Space Center. Imagine the rest of Florida right now.
Yeah. Mission Specialist Christina Cook, who holds the record for the most consecutive days in space by a woman. Let's take a look at what she has to say about this mission.
I tell a story, which is one that my dad told me before the Apollo missions when he was just a very little boy. He was looking up at the moon with his mom, and his mom said to him, "Don't worry, Ronnie, we'll never get there." Fast forward maybe 70 years later, it's his daughter that's actually going there. And I think that long arc is something that we can all learn from. The idea that the seemingly impossible becomes possible if you just believe in it and are willing to work hard and come together to achieve it. My name is Christina Cook, and I'm a mission specialist for NASA's Artemis II mission around the moon. When I look back at my dreams as a kid, I definitely never thought I would actually get here. I was very pragmatic. Even though I'm a dreamer, I knew that the odds were way against me again, so I might as well do something I'm loving in the meantime. I definitely loved science and math in school and, did pretty well in those things, but I also loved being active. I was always outside. I I loved things that made me feel small. I loved looking at the night sky, oftentimes between the pine tree branches, or I loved the ocean. North Carolina also has mountains, and when we would go there, I just loved the vastness of all of those things. I loved how they made me feel and what they made me think about, and the vastness of the universe and how much out there was to learn. I'm drawn to exploring. I'm drawn to challenges that involve both mental and physical, and I'd much rather be solving problems wearing a whole lot of equipment and in a harsh environment, and that's just something I've carried with me ever since I was a kid. Thinking about the fears or challenges that I've had to overcome, there are just so many. I mean, basically, that has been the journey. I always say to people, do what scares you. And that means I have to follow my own advice. So doing what scares me meant getting on a plane and going to the Antarctic, getting on a plane and going to study abroad in Ghana, applying to become an astronaut, opening the EVA hatch in the airlock and going out of it into the darkness, strapping myself onto a rocket. And so for me, I think that no matter what the challenge, recognizing that if people believe in you and you believe they believe in you, the challenges seem always a little bit easier. To me, the moon, it represents history. It is a witness plate. Everything that's ever happened to the moon is still written on the moon. Every single person has looked at the moon their entire lives. We see the same moon. That's something really special. It's just the epitome of a symbol of something that's in each of our hearts, but that's also represents exploration and reaching.
And as we continue to watch the convoy, almost at the pad, mission specialist and first-time flyer, Canadian astronaut Jeremy Hansen.
I have this very distinct memory of seeing an image of an astronaut standing on the moon. It's burnt in my brain because I went back to it so many times in my childhood, and I would look at that image, and I know it had a huge impact on me that humans had walked on the moon. My name is Colonel Jeremy Hansen. I'm an astronaut with the Canadian Space Agency, and I'm a mission specialist on NASA's Artemis II mission around the moon. My elementary school years, I grew up on a farm outside of London, Ontario. I spent as much time as I could with my dad on the farm. I learned the value of hard work, for example. If I wanted to go to work with Dad, it was going to be a long day, and I was going to have to not complain, or I wasn't going to get to go the next day. I had a treehouse. I had a vivid imagination. And I changed my treehouse into a spaceship. I made all these dials and controls. I had circuit breakers for switches that I found in the barn. And I was exploring space in my imagination. The most important thing I did to get to where I wanted to go in life, which was flying fighter jets and eventually becoming an astronaut, is I shared those desires with other people. And it turns out, just like you don't go to the moon on your own, if you could, I would have done it a long time ago in my treehouse as a kid. You have to go as a team. I think the biggest impediment to achieving my goals was, of course, myself. And I think that's a common human experience. There are many times where just little things would get in my way, and my immediate interpretation of that was, well, now that goal's out the window. You know, people must have lifted me back up, and somewhere in the back of my head, that persistence came through. And I think that's a common human experience, to doubt ourselves. I've come to this, I guess, realization that I believe that we all have gifts to contribute, and the goal is to figure out how to use your energy towards adding positively to humanity's existence on this planet. But I love it when humanity sets big goals, like sending humans to the surface of the moon with an eye to eventually going to Mars, because when we do that, we can bring together genius from not just even in one country, but around the world. I've also learned from my indigenous mentors that they refer to the moon as Grandmother Moon. So you've probably heard of Mother Earth. They use Grandmother Moon because Grandmother Moon is responsible for the water in their community, just like the moon moves the water around the planet, affects the tides. And I think that's a really beautiful thing for us as we go back to the moon, to think about all the different cultures around the world and how they view the moon differently. And that's really neat because we all share that same moon in the night sky.
What's really neat, too, was that drive to the launch pad, that point of view to see what the crew is seeing as well. as their Astrovan rides up the pad slope and are now on the surface, about to walk up to their vehicle.
Yeah, we talked about how tall this rocket is earlier.
Wow.
Look at that.
Yeah, look at that point of view, yeah. Pad 39B, another historic place here at Kennedy Space Center. Construction began in 1964, finished 3 years later. Apollo 10, the full dress rehearsal for the moon landing. That was the first mission to launch from this pad.
Yeah, we've used this pad for a lot of missions. We modified the pad in the 70s and 80s, and then the shuttle missions actually launched from here as well.
And then, of course, Artemis 1 took off from this launch pad November 2022. And now here we are about to see the Artemis 2 crew get out of the Astrovan and make their way up the mobile launcher to the 274-foot level, where they will embark on their first crewed test flight of the Artemis program.
I think that button in the elevator actually says space when
it
you
does?
hit it. Yeah.
Really?
At least on 39 Alpha it does. So I imagine it says something similar here.
Again, let's take a look at the clock as we wait for the crew to get out. 4 hours, 10 minutes and counting until the top of our 2-hour launch window today. Let's head back across the street to Daryl, who's following the launch team every step of the way.
All right, thank you, Megan and Nicole. And here inside Firing Room 1, we had a nice moment. The launch director, Charlie Blackwell-Thompson, NASA's first female launch director, standing up from her console, taking her cell phone and snapping photos as the Artemis 2 crew that she had just given the go to leave the astronaut crew quarters, driving by, and of course going up the causeway until they got there to the pad. And now we see them coming out of the Astro van there and getting ready to ascend the launch tower. Well, we got a weather brief before they went out to the pad, and of course LWO gave a go. There could be some rain out there at the pad. It's already rained out there already. If you're in the area and you're watching right now, well, certainly you know that there's some rain in the area. There's going to be spotty showers that are going to be coming ashore here, and we expect that throughout our rest of our countdown. But we also are getting forecasts that there'll be some clearing as we get closer to our launch window. Big wave from Reed Wiseman there, and a thumbs up as the crew goes into the elevator to ascend the launch tower to go up to the level where they'll walk across the crew access arm and get into the white room. One of the things that you're going to start to hear now is from the crew themselves. We're going to be airing the Orion to Earth loop, which is the communications that's going between that crew and the launch team here as they walk them through configuring their various consoles as well as getting ready. A nice moment here, and I'll just pause to just look and see as the crew walks across the zero deck, as they call it, which is the deck that's right there even with the engines, and they're taking a moment to go over there and stand up and gaze up at the 322-foot tall SLS rocket. This was part of the plan for the Artemis 2 crew, and potentially a rocket that could help them make history to go farther from Earth than any crew has before. The farthest distance from Earth when they launch will be roughly around 248,000 statute miles. They're expected to go about 4,000 miles farther than the Apollo 13 crew did. And now they've headed to the elevator to go up. Again, I was talking about the loops. You're going to be hearing from the crew as they discuss with the launch team getting various systems ready to go. And then closer to liftoff, we'll hear the operational launch team loop brought forward ahead of the critical pre-launch polls and then the start of terminal count. And that should be right around L-25 minutes, right before the NASA test director gives their poll and the launch director gives her management poll, which happens at L-17 minutes. Right now, a lot of focus is on, of course, the closeout crew. They've made the way for the crew to get inside the spacecraft now and walk across that crew access arm, and there they are. They have been working on a tight timeline, but they are ready to go, and they are ready to receive the crew and start putting them inside their Integrity spacecraft. That's it from the firing room. We'll send it back to Megan and Nicole.
And Launch Director Charlie Blackwell-Thompson, again, we mentioned her a second ago. Her team have been training extensively for this moment since Artemis 1 launched in November 2022. Today, they have a message for Reed, Victor, Christina, and Jeremy.
Today, you carry the work of thousands and the hopes of millions. Every test, every simulation, every long day and night have led to this moment. This team is ready. The vehicle is ready, and you are ready. From the ground to the moon, Godspeed, Artemis 2!
I love that. I just love seeing all of the people who have contributed to this mission and the fact that this is what they've been working for, and now it's culminating today.
Yeah, thousands of people have worked on this mission, and we saw there from the launch team, but human spaceflight is like the ultimate team sport, is what I like to say, and that's just a great example of our team wishing our astronauts good luck.
That shot there that we were just looking at was aimed at the elevator doors, again, to catch the astronauts as they make their way up to the 274-foot level of the mobile launcher. The mobile launcher is the structure you see there. It is not only a way for the crew to obviously access Orion, but also provides the fuels, communications, all that to the rocket. And now we're watching the crew walk across the crew access arm, getting a beautiful view of Kennedy Space Center.
From 274 feet. Woo.
Nicole laughs because Nicole is also, like Reed, does not like heights.
Do not like how open that crew access arm is. But Reed made it across, so that's good news.
It looks like they really enjoyed it. They didn't just walk straight past. Christina and Victor, we definitely saw.
Some thumbs up there,
looking out, yep, that crew access arm. And then Reed, he knows where that camera is. Taking the opportunity to, again, just tell folks, hey, we're doing good. Ready for it. Yeah. And it looks like they're actually probably signing their patch.
Yeah, there's a wall with patches there, and so each crew signs when they get up for their launch.
And so this is probably actually the first time a crew is doing this in the White Room of Launch Pad 39B. Don't quote me on that, but I think the signing started with the commercial crew program. So there's a lot of that in the White Room over at 39A. But again, this is 39B. Yep. And so now in this room here, the White Room, again, we will see the crew don or put on their communication caps again, their helmets, their gloves, and remove coverings that they had on their shoes.
Yeah, so they want to protect the suits while they're walking out and up to the White Room, and now they'll finish reassembling those suits. Put the boots on, put the gloves on. You can see they're working their comm caps now, and they'll work the helmets eventually as well.
And so as we watch this process unfold, why don't we take a couple of questions from you guys? What is the most difficult thing about preparing for a flight? Nicole, that question's obviously for you.
Ooh, this is a great question. I think we get such good training. This crew's been training for years. And so they know this rocket and this capsule inside and out. They know all the dangers. They know how to react to anything. So I actually think, preparing your support system and your family, I think launch day is actually tougher for your family than it is for you. We've heard the crew talk about the difficult conversations that they've had with their family to prepare for this historic test flight. And so I think, the closer and closer you get to the rocket, the fewer and fewer things from Earth you keep. They left their suitcases at crew quarters this morning. They left their cell phones, their laptops, everything. And so you are just a human in a spacesuit about to get on a rocket with all of your loved ones watching. And I think that can be probably one of the most difficult parts about today.
And while you were answering that question, Nicole, we did get a chance to check. Yes, this is the first time crew has signed the wall of the White Room, again, here at Pad 39B. Let's take another social question now. All launch windows happen to be in the evening. How come? Obviously referring to the April opportunities specific to Artemis 2.
Right. This is a complicated answer. I don't know that I would have the exact mechanics behind it, but it has a lot to do with orbital mechanics and where we are in terms of the Earth and the Moon relationship. Like we said, we're trying to get on that free return trajectory, and so it has a lot to do with when we can do the perigee and apogee rays burns and the translunar injection. So there's a lot of math that goes behind these launch windows and why they shift and move, and why we just so happen to be in the evening for the April launch windows.
Yep. You did answer it well. All right. And before we asked you guys a question, who would you take to the moon with you? Would that be a bestie, a pet, family member, or seasoned astronaut? Overwhelmingly seasoned astronaut. So, Nicole, you and I are going to the moon.
Was that your answer as well?
That was totally my answer. Again, I thought my husband would not like that answer because he'd want to come along too. But I think if asked, he would also say seasoned astronaut. So
that's fair. Like we said, there's a lot of training that goes behind it. These guys can react to anything that comes their way. And so, if you don't have all that training, maybe you do want someone that's a little bit more experienced.
Yep. So, correct answer, everyone. And now we have another question for you. What do you want to know about living in Orion? What the crew eats, how the crew sleeps, how to fly the vehicle, or how free time is spent? Another great question.
Yes, I'm excited to see what they say.
Yeah, so head to NASA's Instagram or Twitch accounts to vote, and we'll share the results as soon as possible. And while you're doing that, remember to also sign up to be a virtual guest for this mission. Just go to the link we'll pull up on your screen. As a virtual guest, you will get mission-specific information, notifications of any schedule changes, and curated resources straight to your inbox. You will also receive commemorative stamps for your virtual passport after launch and splashdown. Again, we really, really want you guys to engage with us, engage with this mission, come along with us for the ride. Notifications of any schedule changes, and curated resources straight to your inbox. You will also receive commemorative stamps for your virtual passport after launch and splashdown. Again, we really, really want you guys to engage with us, engage with this mission, come along with us for the ride. Notifications of any schedule changes, and curated resources straight to your inbox. You will also receive commemorative stamps for your virtual passport after launch and splashdown. Again, we really, really want you guys to engage with us, engage with this mission, come along with us for the ride. Notifications of any schedule changes, and curated resources straight to your inbox. You will also receive commemorative stamps for your virtual passport after launch and splashdown. Again, we really, really want you guys to engage with us, engage with this mission, come along with us for the ride. Notifications of any schedule changes, and curated resources straight to your inbox. You will also receive commemorative stamps for your virtual passport after launch and splashdown. Again, we really, really want you guys to engage with us, engage with this mission, come along with us for the ride. Notifications of any schedule changes, and curated resources straight to your inbox. You will also receive commemorative stamps for your virtual passport after launch and splashdown. Again, we really, really want you guys to engage with us, engage with this mission, come along with us for the ride. Notifications of any schedule changes, and curated resources straight to your inbox. You will also receive commemorative stamps for your virtual passport after launch and splashdown. Again, we really serving today.
Yeah, they're functional, which is exactly what we want, but also they're pretty classy looking. So
Yeah.
we did a good job with the design.
I was going to say, they actually look like, the outfits that car racers wear, right?
Yeah.
And then when I said that to the lead of the closeout crew, he's number one if we do see him, Taylor Hose, he said, well, actually, we are kind of like a pit crew, like they're very quickly moving through the operations so that not a lot of time, not more time is spent at the pad than is needed because this is a fully fueled rocket, Nicole.
Right. Yeah, we want to minimize the time that we have more humans up in the White Room, but also safely and efficiently get the astronauts ingressed into the capsule. And so that's their main job. That's so yeah, I like the pit crew analogy. Works great.
And so, Nicole, as we get ready to see them ingress, I know you'll be, again, an invaluable source as we talk through this part of the launch countdown because you've been inside a mock-up of the Orion spacecraft. And I know that because you texted me a photo that you took this selfie in the mock-up, and little did you know I was going to put it in this broadcast.
Yeah, this was actually a really wonderful opportunity. Last week, our flight control team at Johnson Space Center hosted an open house of the Orion mock-up there in the Space Vehicle mock-up facility. And so I got to spend some time in the capsule with some of the flight controllers who are actually sitting on console right now and talk to them about everything inside the mock-up. So you can see I've got a bump cap on. It's like a small hard hat. There are a lot of metal corners and things, and we are still squishy humans at the end of the day. And so they want you to be careful while you're moving around in there. But I got to see, how the crew will ingress. I got to look at the umbilical and the seat straps, and I got to see, the emergency equipment and the stowage and the toilet. I got to see it all. Got to talk about everything. It was pretty cool. It was a really great time. Michael and Bruce were great with me. They answered all of my questions.
Yeah, because it's really good to be able to give that perspective because, and as you guys will see, yes, we do have cameras inside Orion and we'll, of course, take you in, but it doesn't give you a true feeling or idea of how big the space is, how things are configured. Again, like when we see them go in, they're actually on their backs.
Yep.
So, again, it's just hard to really get a sense of the inside there, but Nicole is going to really help walk us through that.
Yeah, you said they're on their backs and, you have to somehow get there. And so they're actually going to almost barrel roll onto their shoulder to get onto their backs and their feet up on those leg rests that actually Andre's holding onto right there. You can see Andre number 2's inside getting everything ready for them. And actually those leg rests for the pilot and commander seat will come off once they get into orbit to create some more space for them.
And it looks like we're getting ready to ingress here. Yep, thumbs up from Reed. Everybody configured with their suits, and so in we go. They actually get inside by walking backwards. That's the easiest way to get in, right, Nicole?
Yeah, so he will step down right over the flywheel or the exercise equipment that they've got in there. We'll talk to that in a second. And then you actually step down right on top of the toilet area backwards. You can see him going now. Oh, and he's already turned around and walking in. You can see Dre's protecting his helmet and his visor there from all that metal.
Yeah.
It's a tight squeeze, but they've done this a lot, so Reed's already all the way across the capsule.
Yeah, that was fast. Impressive, Reed. Impressive. That's why you're the commander. Oh, a heart there from Jeremy again. Yep, Canada.
Yeah.
Canada is about to get into Orion. And so you mentioned Dre. Why don't we talk a little bit about him? So that was NASA astronaut Andre Douglas. And he is actually one of the backup crew members for the Artemis II mission. He trained alongside the primary crew and will step in if any of the 3 astronauts are unable to fly.
Yeah, Dre's actually a classmate of mine, so fellow fly.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so we've worked very closely together. It's exciting to see him in this role.
Yeah, Virginia native, selected as an astronaut candidate in December 2021. He completed his training in March 2024 and was subsequently named as the Artemis II backup crew member just months later in July. Before joining NASA, Andre worked at the Johns Hopkins University Applied Physics Laboratory, where he specialized in spacecraft systems engineering. His work focused on the systems that help spacecraft know where they are and how to get where they need to go. So obviously critical for missions to the moon.
Yeah, he's a wicked smart guy. He's got like 15 degrees, I think, or something.
Oh, my.
So.
And so now here we are back inside Orion, where the closeout crew, each one with either Reed or Jeremy. So it looks like Andre is with Reed. And this is a camera shot of behind Reed's head. So Reed, while Andre is buckling him in, it's a 5-point harness, Reed was configuring his control panel.
Yeah, the displays. We're getting the displays ready so that they can monitor all of the systems and monitor the launch as they go. Christina there signing the wall.
Got to put away the pen. The pen could be foreign object debris or FOD, which is bad for NASA. We definitely want to make sure that we keep track of everything and we know where everything is, because the smallest thing could prevent us from launching or affect the equipment out there.
Yeah, and you'll actually see that most of their tools will be tethered as well, so nothing can fall through a crack or drop.
And so as soon as Jeremy and Reed are good to go in their seats and connected to their communication umbilicals, as Daryl had said before, we will start hearing the loops, the audio mission loops, specifically Orion to Earth 1, which is the communication loop that the crew communicate on to the different teams supporting launch today. And as we said when we were in suit up, after they do communication checks, again, suit leak checks to make sure that nothing went wrong between the suit up room and here, and also to specifically connect them to the Orion systems.
Yes, this will be an integrated test with Orion and the suits to make sure the entire system is working and ready for flight.
And so you'll notice Reed and when Victor sits down, Reed and Victor are the only ones with the display panels in front of them. Jeremy and Christina will actually share a personal computer device, and that will be on Jeremy's leg, and that's how they'll continue to follow along with telemetry and data.
Yeah, it's actually pretty cool. This is one of the technology demos that we're doing, and so they're going to plug into the system, and it'll be a screen repeater on that device for them so that they can see what the pilot and commander are seeing.
OTC at MS2 is online for sound checks.
This is OTC. Repeat.
MS2 ready for comm checks.
The MS2 ready for comm checks. MS2 OTC Orion to Earth 1 comm check.
OTC, it's MS2. Have you loud and clear on 1.
You're welcome, sir.
And so that was the Orion test conductor speaking with Jeremy Hansen, again, mission specialist 2 for this mission. So his communication check over, you heard him say 1, Orion to Earth 1, has been completed, a successful test. The rest of the crew here waiting in the white room. Again, as Nicole was saying, a little tight there for all of those folks. So Christina and Victor will wait until Reed and Jeremy are done getting buckled in.
Yeah, I think 4 astronauts and 4 suit techs would be a tight fit in that capsule.
Yeah, I mean, take a look at Bill. He's number 3 there, the suit technician there. He is kneeling where Christina will be in order to get Jeremy situated.
OTC ask, commander's ready for comm checks.
OTC copies. Commander.
NTD, Mesco 212, com check.
NTD, have you loud and clear here as well?
HFTS on 194, thank you.
Commander, OTC Orion Earth 1.
OTC, CDR has you loud and clear.
Good comm. Welcome, sir.
And there you have it, a successful comm check with Commander Reed Wiseman. And so...
And CDR, NTD on Orion Earth 1 for comm check.
It's Gary Bush. I got you loud and clear, NTD.
And good to have you on board. Good luck today.
And so now these two closeout crew members will finish up what they're doing here. Again, Nicole, walk us through what is happening here. They're connecting umbilicals, is what we said.
They're strapping them in, so they're getting their restraints connected. It's a 5-point harness with a quick release, and then they're connecting the umbilical, which has actually 4 different connections. So it's got the air in, air out, the water for cooling, and then the comm as well, the communication cable. So they're going to make sure that all of those connections are good to go, make sure the crew's receiving the cooling and the air, and then we heard the comm check as well. So they're just making sure the umbilical connection was good to go, getting them strapped in and ready, and then they will move on to Victor and Christina.
And so while we wait for that to happen, why don't we get another check of the launch countdown milestones with Daryl and the launch team?
All right, welcome back into the firing room 1 here, where some of the launch team is having some pizza that was brought by the administrator. That was nice of Administrator Jared Isaacman to bring that by for the launch team to enjoy. We're L-minus 3 hours and 44 minutes and counting as you can see the crew ingressing into the spacecraft. There are a number of things that are happening on the timeline. Of course, the closeout crew, they liken themselves to like an F1 pit crew, working quickly, methodically, carefully, as they go through their procedures to get the astronauts ingressed. Overall, there's a little bit of timeline pressure, right? There's only a certain amount of time as you see the astronauts going into Orion, only a certain amount of time that they can spend on their backs. They will be there for a few hours, right? So we're sitting at 2:40 p.m. Eastern time, and the window opens at 6:24 p.m. Eastern time and runs until 8:24 p.m. Eastern time. So 4 or 5 hours or more on their backs, and then they'll hopefully lift off for a launch. So, of course, the crew is mindful at the time. They don't want to slip into the window if they don't have to. And so they're keeping a tight lock on the margin, the amount of time that they're working there. And there's a heart from Christina Cook. Great to see that as she gets ready to get into the Orion spacecraft, one that they named Integrity. It certainly fits this crew from what I've observed. Now, right now, the rocket's tanks, they're in what's called replenish mode. So another factor for this closeout crew is, and the crew themselves, this is a fully tanked, almost ready to go rocket. It's got all the propellant it needs to go to the moon. It's just a matter of getting the astronauts in, getting them configured, and getting all the systems, the high-energy systems, bringing them all online in order to launch this rocket. As they sit there, there is propellant boil-off that's happening. All tanks are at 100%, but the propellant, which is liquid oxygen and liquid hydrogen, those two propellants are minus 423 for hydrogen and minus 297 for the liquid oxygen. They are boiling right now. They've been boiling the entire time and they've been in the tank. And that is vented out, as you can see. When we look to a wider shot of the rocket, you can see the venting and the little wisp of clouds that are coming out from the top of the rocket in the middle part of the rocket. And that is because just like you boil water on your stove, those propellants are boiling. Of course, their boiling point is much lower than water, and so it doesn't take much for them to boil. But just as if you were to leave your pot of water on the stove and just leave it there, what would happen? Well, it would completely boil off, and all the water would be gone. Basically turned into water vapor inside your house. Well, it's the same case here. So we are continually replenishing the rocket with propellant, liquid hydrogen and oxygen, running from those propellant lines that you see there going into the rocket. So that continues to go well. Overall look from the launch team here, this has been a very smooth countdown so far. The cryo tanking went exceptionally well, and the launch team is really in a good mood right now. Cautiously optimistic, understanding that with a system this complex, you can have something unexpected happen. But to this point, the firing room is really encouraged by what they've seen so far, and are especially excited to see these astronauts getting inside the spacecraft. L-minus 3 hours and 40 minutes and counting until we open up that window for launch. For now, we'll send it back to Megan and Nicole.
Thank you, Daryl. And, he mentioned that the crew decided to name Orion Integrity, and it was not something they came to easily. They really wanted to put in a lot of thought. And what they came down to is integrity is a value that NASA embodies, and also individually they felt like integrity is something that speaks powerfully to them.
Yeah, and I think the other part of integrity, it just represents the humility and the professionalism behind the entire team that built this rocket and got us here today. And so it's a fitting name for this capsule.
Yeah, like I said, I think the crew said it took them a little bit to decide on what they wanted, but I think they made the perfect choice.
I agree.
And so as the countdown to launch continues, we are reminded that this is an agency-wide effort to make today's launch attempt possible. We invited people across our NASA family to wish our crew a safe journey.
Go Team Artemis! Go Team Artemis!
3, 2, 1, blast off!
Have a great flight. Godspeed. We'll get you around the moon and home.
If I had a message for the crew, be safe, to have fun, to remember that we're all down here rooting for them.
I want to wish my friend and former student, Victor Glover, and the entire Artemis team best wishes and a successful flight.
Have fun. Take some really cool pictures. Can't wait to see you when you get back.
From the Earth to Sky team connecting NASA science to public lands, go Artemis.
We will see you in the Pacific, and you can count on us being there.
Greetings from NASA Langley's historic gantry facility,
where Neil learned to land on the moon and Orion learned how to swim.
We are with you all the way to splashdown.
Let's go fly from the Orion Human Engineering Team. Woo!
Like a full moon, your future is bright. Have a safe journey from the multimedia team in Cleveland, Ohio.
We hope to see you guys back safely in San Diego, maybe singing some karaoke.
Yeah, right, maybe. He knows exactly what he wants to do. After he's like, yep, karaoke. I love that people submitted videos. This is something that we actually asked as part of the broadcast. We were like, you know what, I think it'll be really fun. And the overwhelming amount of people who wanted to record something for the crew was really heartwarming.
Yeah, this is the first time in over half a century that we're sending people back to the moon, and everybody is excited about it. Kindergarten to congressmen and all over the world, everyone is ready for today and excited to see this launch.
And so here we are again, still inside Orion with the closeout team, putting some final touches on, it looks like Victor's configuration there. Again, making sure that his harness is set and that he's connected to cooling, he's connected to communications, and he's connected to any other umbilicals that he needs to be connected to for Orion. Again, we are sharing so much information with you, and we hope you find it educational and fun. But we do know you guys still have some questions, so why don't we take another one now?
Tell us what the moon is like!
So cute. That wasn't a question. That was a demand. Nicole, you tell her what the moon is like.
Oh, man, that was so cute. Oh, man, the moon is really cool, right? So it's a lot of like gray and white and kind of shades of gray. It is something that doesn't have wind or rain or rivers or an atmosphere. And so we like to say Christina said it earlier, it's the witness plate to the universe. And, it has all these impact craters because it's not protected. Things hit it all the time. Meteoroids, asteroids, all sorts of things hit the moon and create these impact craters. That's part of what we want to go and look at and learn about on the moon. It can tell us a lot about the age of the universe and the age of the moon. It's 4.5 billion years old, and we can learn a lot from just looking at the regolith or the dirt that is on the moon.
Well, thank you for that question, and thank you for that answer. She was cuter, Nicole.
I agree.
And then earlier today, we wanted to ask you, what do you want to know about living in Orion? And we told you to pick between what the crew eats, how they sleep, how they fly the vehicle, and how free time is spent. And the winner, most of you wanted to know how to fly the vehicle. And we are going to be doing that.
Yes, we are. That's a great question, and actually, part of what we're going to go do. So the rocket is fairly automated, right? There's a countdown, and the whole system knows when it needs to ignite the engines. But we are going to do some manual piloting throughout this mission. Once they launch and they separate from the ICPS, they're actually going to do a rendezvous and proximity operations demonstration. So what does that mean? They're going to take that portion of the rocket and they're going to try to fly closely to it. And so they will actually take manual control of the Orion spacecraft and try to get nice and close to the other portion of the rocket that had just separated. And so you can see actually a little bit in the view that you have right now. So for Reed, the left-hand person, his right hand, there's a kind of a joystick, if you will, on the right side. And then on the left side, there's something similar. And so they've got, translational and rotational hand controllers in order to command the rocket in different axes.
Yeah, it's really exciting. I mean, Victor said it himself, like one thing that he's really looking forward to is piloting Orion manually. So we'll get to see that during our continuous coverage. Again, we are covering this entire mission. We started with tanking, and we will go all the way through splashdown, so you will see what Nicole was just talking about, that proximity ops demonstration, where the crew will pilot Orion manually. And so, speaking of their 10-day mission, why don't we take a closer look at the crew's home away from home for the next 10 days. Here's Megan Carter again from the KSC Visitor Complex.
All right, thanks, Megan. Yeah, it's getting real out there, so I am going to bring you back to the moon board so I can show you just a few things about the Orion. Obviously, it is going to be very compact, sitting up there on top of the SLS rocket. Very compact, like I mentioned, over 355,000 pieces. So let me show you a couple key components, starting with these three fairing panels right there. When the rocket blasts off, obviously it is going to get very fast. It's going to get
on Orion Earth 1 for
windy, and so we have these three fairing panels in place to help protect our astronauts. I am also going to take you into a little bit closer look and talk about the LAS, or the Launch Abort System. This is the one piece that is going to be in place to protect the astronauts should something happen to go wrong in the first few minutes of launch. They can actually hit those abort motors, and these can activate within milliseconds, basically faster than you can even blink, and that is going to pull the crew and the crew capsule away from any danger. Now, obviously, we hope that those are not needed, and if that is the case, then about 3.5 minutes into flight, the LAS and those fairing panels will actually activate and jettison away. They'll fall away from the rocket, because at that point, the crew can actually abort the spacecraft safely by themselves. Now, we've talked a lot about the crew capsule right here. This is where they are going to spend the duration of their flight. We're going to talk a lot more about that one in just a little bit, but for now, let me jump down here to the service module. This is the one, we're going to think of this as the powerhouse for the spacecraft. It's pretty much going to provide them with almost everything that they need for the entire mission. Temperature control, removing the carbon dioxide, providing them with oxygen, so much more. You can also do course corrections and things like that. So super quick breakdown, but as you can see, all of these components together are going to make the spacecraft one that is built not just to fly, but to protect, sustain, and bring those astronauts home. All right, lots more to come, but let's see where we are with the crew. Back over to you, Megan.
Hey, thanks so much, Megan. A lot of useful information there. And we did want to point out that you did hear over
and PLT, NTD on Ryan Earth 1 for ComCheck.
NTD PLT, I have you loud and clear on OE1.
And I have you the same. Welcome aboard.
And so, again, we are now hearing mission audio loops, specifically the Orion to Earth 1 loop, the communication channel for the crew. Successful comm checks by both Victor and Christina.
CDR, OTC Orion to Earth 1.
CDR.
Yes, sir. Configure ARS to shoot mode per EPROC 10.1.1. Crew ingress and vehicle pre-launch config, step 1.
10.1.1, crew ingress and vehicle pre-launch config, step 1. Going in work now.
And so see, now we are privy to some of the countdown procedures that the team is asking for the crew to do.
Yeah, so they're going to work through some of these procedures and finish the ingress portion, as you heard in that procedure. So this is where the crew is going to start building their nest, if you will, running some procedures, getting the capsule ready for humans to be on board.
And now look at the clock, 3 hours, 30 minutes and counting until the opening of our 2-hour launch window. And we are pretty good on time. We are as we are expecting in terms of when ingress will be wrapping up soon. And so now let's bring Gary Jordan, again, our commentator inside of Mission Control at Houston. Gary, let's check in with you about mission preparations.
Hey, Megan, thank you. Yes, we're following along here in Mission Control Houston.
OTC copies.
And we'll stand by for those comm checks. And again, we're waiting for those comm checks. We did confirm from our IVA officer here in Mission Control Houston that all 4 suits have plugged in umbilicals.
And CDR, NTD.
Go ahead, NTD.
Yeah, Reed, we're ready to proceed with the voice checks if you and everyone else is.